Hey everyone, this is Tarek here. I'm going to be talking about Zephyr Scale today. And basically, Zephyr is a test management tool that we use to manage our test cases, create our test cases, and so on and so forth. And with Zephyr, you can just basically uh, create your test cases, manage them, and also track them, basically, not relying on Excel sheet and other documentations. It's just working with Jira as well. That is also another advantage. So we can work with Zephyr, and that is really uh, one of the most common used tools in the market as well. Instead of Excel sheet and having all of that, because you're going to be integrated in this Jira and all nine yards. So uh, let's look at it on Jira, basically. How are we doing things with Zephyr? All right. So here we have our Zephyr scale, basically. This is the homepage for Zephyr. And you're going to see it from the left side, left navigation side. When you go into your Jira project. And basically, we don't have any test cases now, and I'm going to be creating a new test case, and we're going to see how is the process. So we're going here and creating new test case, and there are details here. We're going to have a name, like say validate login functionality. This is our test case. Objective, you can write, I mean, some objectives. I'm not going to write right now. Precondition, let's say valid username and password, we can say. But the required field is test case name only. So let me go into here. There are some draft, approved, and deprecated. I'm just going to put it in the draft right now. After you approve your test case, like you control, like you're like, oh, it is good to go. You can put it in the approved status, but it's not much like important point here. So priority, depending on a priority, but I'm gonna select normal right now. Component, you don't have to do it. If you want to put it under any labels, you may want to have labels here, like front end, UI testing, something like that. You can put it here as a label. Or if you have API testing, you can put backend. Uh, here, owner, basically your username, which is at the academy in this case. And time, we don't really need this as well, but if you want to put something here, I don't usually do it. Just important parts here, just like owner, you can add labels. And if you had any folders, I can show after that as well. You can put this test case under a folder. You can put that folder in here. So basically, I'm going to show you later, but you can create a folder in the homepage, like UI test cases or backend test cases. And then you can put it under here. And these are details. You're just gonna put your details here, whatever you're working on, name, and other stuff as well. So we're gonna go test script. Before that, I always want to save. So this is saved. If you go back again, test cases. So you're gonna see it here, your test case ready before we fill out the details. And what I was saying was here, new folder, so you can create UI test cases. And you can put this under here, basically. If you go into there, folders, put it here, save. And this is going to appear under UI test cases folder. You can see one here. It's going to appear under all test cases as well, but it is going to appear specifically under UI test cases in this case. So let's go into there, and this is your test case ID. You can say that, yeah, test case number. So we go in here, we go into the test script. So basically, these are your test steps. You can put it in different formats, plain text, BDD format as well. But I'm just going to put just step by step. And I'm not going to fill much details because this is going to be your test steps, but navigate to orangehrm.com and your test data, like basically username, this, password, this, whatever you're trying, your test data, you can put it here and expected result, say, and login. I'm gonna like combine steps. You can put this like, you should normally put this separate steps, but yeah, navigate there and login. Test data is this when you log in and validate user logged in successfully. Basically, you're gonna put your steps here, your test steps, how many you want to have. Like you may have like 7 steps for some of them. For some of them, you may have like 2, 3 steps. In this case, you can put this step here. And also, there are other options. You can clone this step. It's just going to clone another one in here, delete here. You can add a step as well. Here, blank step, and you can use another step for your test. And call to test is basically if you have a common step, for example, if you're going to go into navigate to Orange HRM Red, and you're going to use this probably most of your test cases. So you can create a test, common test, and basically instead of writing here, you can just put it in here, that test. That's also another good way to do it. But that's also another good option. So you don't need to write those steps again and again. You can just call them basically in here. So that is another option, and we save it. This is our test case. This is our steps. I mean, just one step, but that's okay. Just to show you. Not gonna go execution yet, and traceability. We're gonna talk about it as well. So let's see. We have our test script, and that is good. We save it. We go back again, and let's create our test cycle in this case. Test cycle is basically, let's say you have a sprint that you're going to be working on. Let's say sprint 1 in your company. You're in your sprint 1. You want to create sprint 1, like let's say sprint 1. And I'm not going to put this much, but you can put like start and end date of your sprint, and you can put again another folder. Status, we're going to put not executed right now. Version, these things are like all details for specific for your project, so I'm not going to put those. Basically, you create this cycle, you call it sprint 1, we save it. So when we come here, test cases, now we're going to add that test case into this sprint cycle so we can execute this test. What do I mean by that? So you clicked add test cases and you select this one that we created, draft 1, and you add here. So you added this test case into this sprint and we save it. Now we have this test case into the sprint cycle. Now we can go ahead and start executing this. Basically, execute this test, right? Go into our website, whatever we do, and then fill in the details. Let's go into the test case itself. Now, when we go to execution, remember, we didn't have anything. Now we're going to have a new execution, which is that test cycle. You can see it here. So it is not executed right now. because we didn't do anything so far. And now we're going to do it. So when we click this one, this is our execution basically. So let's say we are in our test environment, right? Because we're doing most of our testing executions in our testing environment. So we go in our test environment and we're going to put it here, testing environment. Oh yeah, we should have an environment here as well at first. But yeah, we should add environment there. But yeah, so we're gonna have our environments here, test, uh, uh, demo environment, production environment, and we're gonna be putting here test environment when we work. Or if we work in a, if we test this in production environment, we may do sometimes, we're gonna put there production, whichever environment is that. So version, don't worry about this one, and executed by us. And iteration, don't worry about this as well, and assigned to us as well. So let's go here. This is our objective precondition from the step that we created. And when we come here, these are the important parts basically. Here we have our test script, right? So we execute this, and after we execute this, we come here. So these are the options. We went to this orangehrm.com. We logged in. If it's successful, we're going to click this. Basically, this one passed. This manual test just passed for us in that environment. So if it doesn't pass, we're going to put, of course, this one. And we're going to add an attachment as well. So you can add an attachment in here if you want. So let me try to add. You can drag and drop and upload or select files as well. So let me try to find one. Let's see. Add this one. So let's say you had your screenshots and you're going to be adding here as an evidence. You can add in specifically in here as well, attach files, but I'll try to do like, you want to do it by step, like maybe too much. You can just have it here and they can see it, whichever you prefer. Both ways are okay. But I've been doing this. I don't want to do like in every step, putting there manually. I'll just like rename it and they can understand basically. So, and you can delete your attachment here as well, but you can attach from here as well. So, this is our execution. So after we execute this and this is passed, we go back and here, status, it was not executed. Now it's passed. We have this one, this test execution from this test case, and in this cycle, in this sprint cycle, basically. And when we go into test cycles, sprint 1, you can see it here. Our execution, right? Environment is going to be like test, maybe have it. So it's passed. You can see it. You can see the runtime in here as well. Like you can put some time, but I don't really really use that as well. So you can just put in 0, not touch it. And you come here, basically, this is passed, it's showing us, and you can have another execution for this cycle as well. It's gonna appear under here. Like if you want to do, and this one, let's say that we didn't test. Next one, you do it in the production. It's gonna be another execution under here. So you can have like, I don't know, 2 executions, 4, 6, depending on your preference, how many times you're gonna run, basically. So in here for execution, you need test cycles. You can call sprint 1, you can call any other name, but I prefer to do it this way. Whatever's our like our sprint name in the company. So I put it there. And when we go into test plan, so traceability, we're gonna come in here. Uh, Traceability means this test case should belong to some stories, right? In Jira, which we're working. We're gonna basically go here, our backlog, and let's say this one we can select, I think, login, related to login, something related to login. This one there, I'll just put it this. Okay. We go in here. And here you can see in our user story, Zephyr Scale, right? You click this, it is going to create a new section, basically, for this. You can either go create a new test case from here itself, or, which I prefer, I create and come here and choose an existing one, right? That is like better way, in my opinion. So you can add an existing one. Of course, we're going to choose the only thing we have. We add it here. You can see test cases and coverage. So our test case basically passed. And also we can put it this status as approved since we finished and everything. But you can see it here, test execution result pass, and you can start a new execution as well, or you can unlink this. Basically, this is for traceability that we saw. So let's go into our execution. Basically, it's showing like that. And you can hear, you can go to that execution as well, which we saw recently. And this one, let's go into our test case. Now, if you go to traceability, you're going to see a new column here. So our coverage, if you go into our test case, you're going to see which story that we're testing this test case under. Basically, this user story, which we linked. So here, attachments, you can put attachments here as well, but in executions, we covered that most of the time. So you can put it here as well in case you want to have it in both places. Comments, you can add if you have any specific comments for this one. If you have any dependencies or something for this test case, you can put it under here as well. History basically is going to show you what you did for this one. So you created this test case, you made it under a folder, you created the steps, and you added traceability, so on and so forth. Basically, history of this test case. Let's click save. So let's come back to the test case. And we can also move it to approved since they're all passed. Basically, our test case is ready. We executed, and we also linked it to a story, Jira story ticket that we were working on, which is this one. And now everyone can see it under this test case, which we created on recently. You can see approved and pass. Everything is good. So this is for traceability. It's a good thing to remember, or a good thing to use. And then we come here, our test cases. This is our test case, and we can actually clone our test case as well. Like this. It's just gonna duplicate this test case with different test case ID. So if you wanna have a similar one, let's say validate login functionality negative test, something like that, you can just clone instead of writing everything again and again, just modify the steps, basically. You can also do that, clone. And we can also archive this if we are no longer using this test case. So if you archive that, it's going to be gone from here. And here you see archive test cases. Now it's here. You can either delete it or unarchive it. I'm just going to do unarchive right now, but you can also delete it. So here, our test case again. Oh, okay. It's removed under folder, basically. So you need to add into a folder again if you want to work on it. And this is our test case. And if you have other test cases, you can also filter them, adding criterias, so on and so forth. That's also a good option to do it. And what else? So you can import it from a file as well if you want to do it. But I prefer to do it here most of the time, and it's easier to do it for those steps that we created. And you can create test cases in bulk as well. So it normally, maybe you're going to do most of the time single test cases, but that's also an option here to doing like multiple test cases as well. But my preference is basically doing one by one, since they're like different test cases, separate test cases most of the time that we're dealing with. So another one is test plan. You can create test plan in Zephyr. So basically, similar approach, but it's just a test plan part. Like you don't have like steps and other stuff, but basically you have a test plan naming here. You can again do folders and statuses when you get approved for this test plan. And again, traceability. If you have any ticket to work on or task, basically, you're going to be working on creating a test plan for the project. You can link this into there as well to track your work, attachments, comments, and history. Similar, but you don't have any steps and not much details basically here for your test plan. So another option you can use in here. You can have reports as well. So you can create a report. You can generate it for your test steps for tests. But basically, your execution is going to show you your reports. You may not need this one, but another option to basically check out in here. So, I mean, if you go into your test case, if you go here in your executions, basically, this is your report. I mean, if you go into that, you're going to have everything here, pass, like screenshots and everything. This is your basic report. You can put have this link and put it in your ticket as well. Also, if you go into your ticket that you added this, basically this, and they're gonna see here your test case, and when they click, they're gonna go into execution itself. So this is basically your report. But if you want to have, you can explore those report option as well. Yeah, so this is basically how you use like how you can have a Zephyr scale for your tests and for your test cases. It's really useful in my opinion. Like other than doing an Excel sheet, you know, and basically you can have a lot of things in here, like also test plan, you create your test cycles, easy to track because it's integrated in Jira as well. So it is very useful. So try to explore it, practice, and write your test cases, your test steps. And it's going to be very useful to know this, in my opinion. So this is Zephyr Scale, and thank you for watching.